So today we're looking at 15 habits of people who never go broke. Number 1, they don't wait for miracles. When things are not working out for you, in most cases, your situation is not going to get better on its own. And yes, I realize that there are sometimes exceptions to this, and you might know somebody whose situation did turn around virtually overnight on its own. But understand that for 99.9% of the population, that might not work. So for the rest of us, we have to put things in motion and take control of our financial life. Because if we sit around and complain with no action, things will probably stay the same. So if you know someone who never stays down for long and they always seem to bounce back quickly from financial problems, they probably realize this. Number 2, they don't apologize for being frugal. I don't know what it is about being frugal, but something about that word has a negative connotation, and sometimes it can rub people the wrong way. But I have a theory, and I think the reason for this is because some people don't really understand the difference between being frugal and being cheap. So if they've had a bad experience with a cheap person in the past, any talk of being frugal might annoy them. And for anyone who doesn't know, there is a difference between the two. A cheap person is always on the hunt for rock bottom prices, and they don't really care much about quality. They want to save money at any cost, even if it's at the expense of others. A frugal person, on the other hand, wants to get the most value for their buck, and they're okay with spending more upfront if it means they're going to save money in the long run. So I say all of that to say, if you clip coupons, if you look for discounts, or if you choose not to do certain activities because they're not important to you, some people might call you cheap. And if you're not careful, those comments could get to you, at which point you might start allowing other people to control your spending. But a person who never goes broke does not do this, because at the end of the day, they know that if they allow others to control their spending and they get into a jam, those people are not going to be there to bail them out. They're also willing to make tough decisions. So in other words, if their circumstances change, and this can be because of a job loss, a reduction of income, new expenses, they are not going to dig themselves into a deeper hole just to save face. They are very much aware and realistic about their situation. So if things go south with their income, they're going to jump into action, and they're going to do everything that they can to keep their lifestyle the same. But once it gets to a point where they realize that, okay, this isn't working, and this is not something that I'm going to be able to fix quickly, they are not afraid to make the tough decisions, which might include eating out less, shopping less, downsizing if they have to, and even selling their car and maybe driving something cheaper. Now, this doesn't mean that it's going to be easy, because in most cases it isn't. But at the end of the day, they're looking at the big picture, and they know that any sacrifices that they make today will pay off down the road. A person who never goes broke also has nothing to prove, so they don't buy to impress others. They know that financial security is more important than showing off, so they don't care about their neighbor's grass across the street because they're too busy watering their own. They prioritize their own financial well-being over external validation because they know that true stability isn't flaunted, but rather built through smart decisions and disciplined habits. They also realize that budgeting is about empowerment and not restriction. Over the years, I've heard so many wrong comments about budgeting. These include statements like, it's only for broke people, or I earn enough money so I don't need to budget, which is all really code for I don't want to do it. However, instead of seeing this boundary as a rigid set of rules, think of budgeting as a way to make sure you have enough money for everything that's important to you. This includes your needs, your wants, and your future goals. So whether you're saving for a house, planning a trip, or investing in your future, a good budget can help you balance it all. People who never go broke also look for opportunities to increase their earnings. The bottom line is that if you're having an income problem, increasing your earnings might be the only way to tackle this issue. So if you've already cut back as far as you can and yet you're still struggling, it's time to explore ways to earn extra money. And earning extra money doesn't have to be difficult, but the key is really finding hustles that have a bigger payout. For example, if you know a lot about a particular topic or you're willing to learn and you're able to write at a 9th grade level, you could potentially supplement your income as an online freelance writer. Every piece of content on a blog or website is written by someone, and many of these online publications use freelancers. And honestly, I believe this is one of the easiest ways to supplement your income, because if you only need to make an extra $200 or $300 a week, that can easily be 1 or 2 articles that take maybe 5 hours of your time. So if you're interested in learning how you can start supplementing as a writer, check out the link in my description where I share tips on how to make money writing online. People who never go broke also plan for the unexpected because they know it's not a matter of if something will happen, but rather when. Building an emergency fund is one of their top financial priorities, and they are committed to always paying themselves first, no matter how small. And what I mean by paying themselves first is that they don't wait until the end of the month to see what's left before transferring money into savings. Instead, they set up these transfers before paying anyone else. And at first, they might only be able to put away a little each month, but over time, it adds up. People who never go broke are also very much aware of their financial limitations, and they make decisions accordingly. And this doesn't mean that they don't have fun, but they are reasonable. So they're not going to jump into things that they know they can't handle just to maintain a certain image, such as getting into a higher than average rent payment or getting an expensive car loan. They save up and plan for expenses, which is how they're able to avoid unnecessary credit card debt, financial stress, and enjoy more stability. They also make financial health a lifestyle. They know that being good with money isn't about how much you earn. It's a whole mindset. Because when you have the right mindset, you're more likely to make sound decisions instead of emotional ones. So they're always learning, reviewing past mistakes, and holding themselves accountable because they know that financial well-being requires continuous effort and education. And granted, you can't always prevent financial stress and worry, but this approach can help minimize it. These individuals also find joy in the simple things and realize that they don't have to spend money every time they step foot outside the house. And I am convinced that there are some people who don't realize this. If you do a Google search right now for free things to do in your city or the closest city, unless you live in the middle of nowhere, I'm willing to bet that you will find a ton of options. And for that reason, people who never go broke know that fun doesn't always have to come with a hefty price tag. People who never go broke also think about the financial ramifications of every decision. So before making a purchase or a commitment, they'll sit and consider how that decision will impact their finances long term. So many financial problems are self-induced and could be easily prevented if people were to just take 2 or 3 minutes and really think about what they're about to do. And taking this approach with their money means that they're less likely to deal with complications. And again, we can't always prevent stress, but we can take steps to not add to them. They also don't blow windfalls or unexpected money, which can include tax refunds, settlements, work bonuses, or gifts. So as hard as it might be, they consider their financial goals and priorities before they splurge. They also don't let fear hold them back. Fear can be paralyzing, and this is what keeps a lot of people stuck in the same place. They might be afraid of failing, being told no, or admitting their mistakes, and as a result, they do nothing. However, people who never go broke think big picture, and they aren't afraid to take matters into their own hands. So they'll negotiate their salary, take calculated risk, and they aren't afraid to confront debt. They also have a splurge fund for guilt-free spending. So basically, they realize the importance of balance, and they know that over time, extreme frugality can backfire. So instead of depriving themselves, they'll set aside a reasonable amount every single month that they can spend guilt-free. This money allows them to indulge without derailing their goals, so they're able to have fun while still being responsible. And finally, they save and invest as early as they can and on a regular basis. They know the power of compound interest. So again, even if they're not in a position to do a lot, they're doing something as soon as they can. They might start with as little as 1% of their income and then gradually increase their savings and investments as they start to earn more. Starting early also gives their money more time to grow. So instead of thinking that you don't earn enough to save or invest, look at your budget and see what you can do. Even if you're only able to start with $5 or $10 a week, that is a good starting point, and every few months you can re-review your budget to see if you can increase your contributions.